Hello, my name is Dapper Arts. I am a cosplay photographer. I've been doing photography since I was in elementary school, but recently have grown more into cosplay photography. I've been doing cosplay photography for about a year and a half now. I've been going to lots of cons in Florida, whereas where I'm at, and slowly branching out a little bit more to different cons. But in this broadcast, in this interview, we'll be talking about the cosplayers, their experience with cosplaying, some difficulties, how they got started, talking about some animes that they enjoy, some animes that they like, and talking about some conventions, some good times, some bad times, some interesting times. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let me just say thank you, Allie, for allowing me to interview you, and we can talk about more about cosplay, photography, and all this anime con and everything about it. So let me just give you the floor, and just talk about yourself, do a little quick introduction about yourself, how you got into cosplaying, and everything else.
All right, so my name is Allie. I'm also known as Allimariecosplay on Instagram. I have been cosplaying for approximately. I started by going to Florida SuperCon 2017, where I actually competed in my first competition in just a store bought cosplay. I actually ended up winning. It was just like a little like kind of runway late night adult one. And the next day, I remember going up to the cosplay table and was like, "Oh, how do I sign up for more competitions?" It said for that particular one happened to be the Saturday competition that I needed to hand make my own costume. I'm like, "There's no way anybody handmade these costumes." And I remember the person, yes, very possible. And the next year, I was so determined to every single competition that I could get into. So I hand stitched my first Legend of Zelda cosplay,
Okay.
and from there, it was I got my first sewing machine, and now 5 years later, we are here
That's
with
crazy.
5 machines and a whole bunch of cosplays.
And this interesting start. Like you kind of just went, you just did something, and then it was just after that start, the ball just kept rolling.
Yeah, and it's very long.
All right. So I do have like a few questions, mostly about the con and more about cosplay. So let me see. So some of the first questions you already said about your first con, but has there been a favorite con that you like a little bit more than the rest of the cons you've been to so far? What's so far been your favorite con that you've been to?
I would have to say Otaku Fest, just
Yes.
because I absolutely love the atmosphere and it's local. So almost all of my friends end up going to Otaku Fest, and they also have one of my favorite competitions, which is the masquerade competition.
Okay.
So I like to go on stage, act like my character, and kind of do these little skits and performances that I'm able to have fun with my character. So Otaku Fest, probably my favorite.
All right. Yeah, I do. I think Otaku Fest has been the so far the Miami favorite of the cons I've been to, and I've been going to Otaku Fest since I think it was high school. I'm not sure if it went by a different name, but I definitely remember going to Otaku Fest since I've been in high school, and that was the first con that I actually got started with cosplay photography. That was the con that started it all. So I have some good memories. Good
I haven't
memories.
been out of the Miami area. Like I went to Tampa for the
Yeah.
first, and then I went to MegaCon. That one wasn't so much one of my favorites. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "Why not?" Too many people. It was just like way too overwhelming. I was like, I can't do this.
All right.
But Metro is also up there too.
Yeah, yeah. You guys had a lot of fun at Metro. You were like way past my bedtime when I was doing the what was it Saturday night?
No, the rave,
Yeah,
yeah.
the rave. Yeah, MetroCon was pretty fun. Yeah, MetroCon has grown a lot since the last time I went there when I lived up in Tampa. That con has gotten a lot more popular, which is good. It's been an interesting ride. Let's say on the topic with cons, what is pretty much your dream con? What is a con you always wanted to go to, but you were never able to because of travel or restrictions? What's the con?
Dragon Con.
Dragon Con? Okay. That's coming up soon too.
Yeah, it's not so much travel, because it's only like what, like
I
8 to 10 somewhere
Yeah,
like
it's a 10-hour drive.
yeah, it's 10-hour drive, but I would drive it. I wouldn't even fly it. But just more on the fact that every time it's come around, it's either been on my birthday or I've been in school. Like this year, it's not on my birthday week, but it's gonna be when I'm in school. Like I'm actually working, and I'm like, well, that's nice. But it's been like that every year. Like something comes up, either I get COVID, someone gets sick. I just can't make the time to do it. But next year, I'm definitely gonna try and like that might be like my birthday trip that I actually go. So
Okay. So probably
kind
next year.
of planning next year.
Planning on it next year.
Yeah,
It's an interesting con. It's the same con with MomoCon. It's in the same convention, but yeah, it's that place is huge. It's like 5 levels, and they don't even use half of the place, which is crazy for me.
if it's important.
No, I was gonna say like MomoCon is the same convention as Dragon Con, and there was when I went there was so many cosplayers, and everyone, it was just cosplays like paradise. There was so many cosplayers there. It was like
And it's interesting to see the different, like down here in South Florida, we know kind of what the scene looks like. And to go out of state, it's kind of interesting to see like the different calipers that people go and to see the talent that is in different states. That's what would be more for me. Like Dragon Con, everybody comes together for, and just the amount of talent that just explodes from that con is just, and I would just like to see it in person.
yeah. I mean, that's definitely a con to check out. All right. Interesting. That's Dragon Con. I was thinking more like the West Coast Con because that'd be a con I would try to do either somewhere in the West Coast like California or go to an actual con in Japan would probably be interesting for me.
I think more for me, everybody tries to go to San Diego or and it's actually very hard to get into them because you have to
Yeah.
be put ticket lottery system, and then you have to be pulled from it. So for it, for accessibility, I think for right now, the con that I want to go to is Dragon Con because I know that I can actually get a ticket. I can actually go to the con and enjoy it. Where I would be stressing out if I planned a whole trip to go to, like California, New York, or something, or even Japan, and not even get a ticket to go. So then I'm stuck with a trip that I'm like, I plan to go to a convention, and now I have to plan for something else. So at least that's in my mind as far as accessibility goes, but
Yeah.
it might change.
All right. Yeah. Like, what are some interesting con stories that you have since you've been cosplaying for a while? You've been in the cosplay community. Any like interesting, like kind of like story wise that you can share?
I mean, kind of like, okay, so my first, this is actually pretty funny. First competition was the late night one. And if anybody knows about late night ones, it's like, I think to enter, you have to be 18, and to actually watch it, you have to be 17. Or maybe it's 17 plus in general. Remember, they kind of changed the rules since then.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything. I'm just watching, right? And I see things on stage, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is this kind of. But I actually didn't do anything as far as like what they were doing. I just went on stage, took off a jacket, and did a full blown front split and ended up winning. So, I mean, every to each their own. That's kind of, you know, and just interesting stories. I mean, I actually haven't had many. Surprising,
No, not many.
not many. I just kind of vibe with everybody. So,
All
other
right.
than not having food at cons, that having to Uber Eats and everything, that was interesting.
All right. Yeah, I mean, going to definitely a lot of cons. Sometimes it's like a interesting story that happens, or you found like a cool spot. Like, I know for me, I can at least think of like one on top of my head. Like with going to MomoCon, like an interesting is like we went like underground underneath like the highway of like Atlanta, and that was like really cool to like because it was like perfect for like what was it like for like zombies. Like if you want something eerie, that was like the perfect. You were like literally like underneath like Atlanta, and that was like
That is
crazy for me. So as a cosplayer, and since you've been cosplaying for a while, what would be the most annoying thing that has happened to you, like as a cosplayer? Like you're on the con floor. What's something that kind of like annoys you a little bit?
when I am actually eating,
Yeah,
right? And people ask for
yeah,
like, you see me sitting down eating, finally eating because at conventions, eating is like apparently doesn't happen. Um, finally, sitting down to eat, and they're like, "Can I have a photo?" Mouth mid chew, you're like, trying, and
yeah,
you try so hard to be super nice about it, but you also don't want to come off being mean. So I'm usually like, "Can you give me like 10, 15 minutes and then meet me back here because I'm trying to finish my food,
yeah,
and I'll gladly take a picture with you."
yeah.
But
Yeah, I think that's the most annoying. That I at least a lot of cosplayers tell me is when they're finally either sitting or eating, and then someone asks for a photo.
yeah, that's probably the most
Yeah,
sitting or eating.
yeah. At least when I did like the panels too for my cosplay photography, that was like the number one thing that I at least put down a list for like if you want to be like a good cosplay photographer, you want to respect the cosplayers. If you see them meeting, just don't ask for the photo. Don't ask. Just let them relax a bit. Or if the cosplayer have like their equipment off and they're sitting, that's probably not the best time
Yeah, they're
to
rest.
kind of ask for a photo. And you just have to deal with it. Like you might like I know this characters I really like. I was like, oh, I love that character. Like I like to take pictures, and then but if they're like resting or like eating, then I'm like, it's not worth it. Anyone
Yeah.
who inspires you to cosplay or continue cosplaying, is there like a cosplayer you kind of look up to, or is there like a family member that inspires you to keep going?
So I actually have both. There's one cosplayer that I've been following for. I actually met her at Florida, and it's a Vera cosplay. Even though she may not know who I am, but I look up to her armor work and her foam work. Like, um, and then family members is obviously my parents. They push me to be who I want to be and just to explore my passion. But there's also my nana who actually gifted me my first sewing machine after she saw what I could do by hand sewing. And I always send her pictures of everything that I'm doing, and because she lives 4 hours away from me, and
Okay.
she'll be like, "Oh my gosh, it's incredible. I remember where you started, and you just got to keep going." So there are a couple people. Obviously, my boyfriend Ryan, we kind of started this whole thing together. Even though we kind of drifted off a little path of being together, we still kind of, as far as cosplay, couple. But cosplaying, he knows my skill level, and he knows his, and he kind of venture off on my own for a little bit just to explore that passion, which I'm extremely grateful for. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. It's always interesting to see like cosplayers, to see who they look up to, or see like, oh man, this one cosplayer is like amazing, or like like where you were telling me like yesterday you went to like a 2 floor like place in Miami for fabric. I'm like, wow, I'm like, you're really like, I'm like, whatever this fabric is, you're dedicated in getting it, and whatever cosplay is gonna be good.
it's actually this one
Oh,
right
it's
here.
actually
That's
that. Oh,
it.
Oh,
But see, that goes on like the 6 years. Like I would, when I didn't have a job, I would go to Walmart and get the Walmart fabrics, which we all know is eh. But then I started going to Joann's, but Joann's is kind of pricey. Can get there. And then I found this little kind of like hole in the wall fabric store, and then I was told about this one in Miami, and I was looking everywhere for this type of fabric because I wanted it to be a traditional Japanese. And I was like,
oh,
I can't
okay.
find this brocade that I want. So I was like, you know what? I'm making the 45-minute trip down to Miami, and they actually had it. I'm not going to talk about how expensive it was, but they had it. Um, so obviously, growing as a cosplayer, you figure those things out, and you kind of see your vision, and you kind of want to do it.
Yeah, I definitely understand the whole vision thing because that's the same with photography, with seeing like what I want to see, and I try to like explain it, but it's kind of hard to explain. It's just like an image out. It's an idea that's in my head, and I just trying to like recreate it with the viewfinder and with the camera, trying to like make that image in like reality.
Yeah, that's kind of how my like I envision something, and I will go to all lengths to do it. Um, and when it does, like in my head, it comes out differently than what I'm looking at. I get really frustrated. I'm like, "That's how I wanted it to look." So I completely get that. You see something in your head and you want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. But what was kind of like the anime that got you into anime, or what was your first anime, if you remember?
Hunter x Hunter. That
Oh,
was my
Hunter
first.
x Hunter. Oh,
Yeah, that was my
that's such a good anime. I like
first.
just like a year ago completely watched it, and I like loved it.
I think I'm last season, but I think it's because I started respiratory school, and I would like lay down in my bed to watch it on my phone, and then I would completely pass.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's why I didn't finish it. But I now that I'm actually making cosplay, I usually will put on an anime and just kind of watch it. And as I'm doing stuff, like I'll put it next to my so I'll be like sewing and watching. Probably not a good practice, but haven't lost it yet, so we're
Yeah,
good.
I was gonna say like
Haven't
hopefully no
lost
injuries.
it, so we're good.
All right,
But that was my first anime, and then I'm making One Piece.
slowly but surely.
Um, yeah, it's happening. Yeah, that anime is gonna take me a very long time to finish. Uh, what? It's like over 1,000 episodes or something.
It's yeah, it's I think
It's a
it's just over 1,000, but you know everyone's going crazy now with like the recent episode. I have I don't know, my fiance watches One Piece, and I watch a little bit of it. It's interesting, but I'm not sure if I can watch so many episodes. Like I watch bits and pieces of it, and it's like it's interesting. So I'm like I kind of want to watch it, but I'm like I know if I get into it, I have to watch hundreds of episodes to like be caught up. But so far, it's interesting for what I watched from some of the arcs I watch. It's interesting.
I've watched some pieces too, like on like YouTube clips and stuff, obviously to get
Yeah,
the movement for this outfit. But it was really interesting. So I just gotta, steal my boyfriend's Crunchyroll account or Funimation account again and
again,
log in there and watch it, or I'll buy my. But um, other than that, like that's what really got me started. I've seen a little bit of Dragon Ball. I did a couple cosplays on Dragon Ball, but most of my anime cosplays are Hunter x Hunter. I did Killua and I did Illumi. So
okay.
um,
About anime. So you know, you said your first one was Hunter x Hunter, but what has been so far like currently right now? What is your top three anime shows that are on like your top three list?
so I haven't anime. Obviously, I would first, uh,
Yeah.
and then I would put Dragon Ball. That's just my MMA background, and I it's MMA.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Right?
fighting.
And then he's
Okay, I mean that's a solid lineup.
and there are a couple that I do. Uh, there's Bleach that I want to watch, and then I think it's Fruit Basket.
Oh, the fruit basket. Okay, yeah, I heard
Yeah.
of that anime. Okay, this one's just kind of like a fun question about anime cons because we were just talking a little bit quickly about like eating, and
Hmm.
my thing with anime cons and the food wise is I don't really want to eat con at I don't want to eat food at the con. Like the food is disgusting. Most of the cons, food is disgusting. It is completely overpriced. So just
Yeah.
a silly dumb question: do you want to eat the food con, or do you don't eat the food con? You try to like walk somewhere.
No, I walk somewhere. I walk. I also have allergies, so for
Yeah,
me, I'm certain that I can eat whatever I'm eating. And typically, if they have something for me for SuperCon, I we were so stuck, like, because we couldn't drive yet, and we had somebody driving us. We didn't have our license,
yeah.
so I was stuck eating their food, and the only thing they had was this plain, so disgusting piece of grilled chicken for me, and I was just like, I'm not. I'd rather eat cardboard than that, but I had to eat it because I had nothing else, and
Yeah,
I would rather eat cardboard. So I will definitely walk somewhere. I don't care if I'm wearing stilettos. Walk somewhere. I am not eating that on food. No way. Mm-mm.
yeah. Like there's like some cons like I think it was like No, was it Metro? Yeah, I think it was MetroCon, but it was still the same convention with Tampa Bay Comic Con, and they were serving like just. I think the only food they had was like hot dogs or like Dippin' Dots, or there was something at the bottom. Oh, they were like selling like ramen, but like the ramen was like it was like 15 or like $17 for like the ramen. I'm like that's a lot for ramen. You like yeah, but I always go to eat somewhere else. Like Metrocon, I walked to get food. Florida Supercon, I walked to another place that's like a few blocks away for food. Like eating for Florida Supercon, the food was outside the con was expensive, but at least I know like that food is tasty. It was like gourmet food.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm definitely like a no for con food. This is no. I rather eat something better. Or I always bring snacks. I always bring Uncrustables. I always bring like something like
Yeah.
snack
Too.
for cons
Too.
if you can. I know some cons were like
Anything?
oh, it's
Why
more
not?
like the
Eh,
outside food. Like I couldn't bring like a snack into the con. Like they're very much against like no, you have to buy stuff at the cons. Like we have food, we have drinks. So like you can get all that inside. Like you can't. They were like they were very somewhat like strict. At least the first day when I went, they were like no, you can't have any food, you can't have any water, you can't have any drinks. You have to dump everything out. You have to throw everything away. So yeah, that was interesting that first day. Um, Talking about worst con experience, what has been? I'm not sure if I talked about this, but what has been the worst con experience that you been to? Like the convention itself, like was it the people? Was it misled or something?
oof. Uh, MegaCon of 20
MegaCon still? Okay.
was doing it to date. They run out of their online sell. Okay, that's fine. That means you sell out of tickets. That doesn't mean you show up to the same day and sell 10,000 more tickets. Like it was so, and it's still happening. And people have complained about it. I've seen it all over social media. People are complaining about the amount of people that MegaCon is just way past the ticket sales that are sold online. So I mean, the comfort and the safety of the people that are going is like compromised. It's like we went because we got a ticket and now we're showing up and there's 10,000 more people here. We didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
You said they were sold out. That's what my impression was. Friday was sold out and you had extra tickets. Okay, sell them at the door. People will show up. They'll tell their friends, hey, they still got tickets available. Come. Not say you're sold out online, or set up where, okay, we're gonna sell 50,000 tickets online, right? And then we're gonna put aside 1,000 to sell at the door. That's when you say only we have limited availability at the door the day of, because you already sold out online. That's easily how you solve that problem.
Yeah.
Just keep piling people in there.
All right.
When technically COVID was still spreading.
What has been your favorite cosplay that either you made or just like a favorite character that you cosplay as? What has been your favorite cosplay so far?
It would be my Princess Ariel that I made with the trident and
Yeah.
ball gown. Um, well, Ariel is my absolute favorite character. Um, but when I was 3 years old, that's when I felt Ariel to be. But to see these little kids run up to you and they're just like, "Oh my gosh, it's Princess Ariel!" And you got to think about it this way: the only place you can really see it is at Disney, right? So when these little kids are walking around a convention and they see their favorite character come to life and they can see him in person, some of these families can't go to Disney and they can't afford it because let's be real, it's expensive. So when they go to, these conventions and they see their favorite characters come to life, it like makes me really happy. I mean, I've had little kids just come up to me and just hug me, and I'm okay with it because it's really cute and I try to interact with them the way that she would. So that has to be my favorite characters because those little kids just come running up and they're so excited and so happy, and I just love seeing the smiles on their.
All right, that's interesting. Like almost like a like off the site, like off remote aerial from like Disney, like with the cast characters.
Yes, because in my head, when I was growing up, I couldn't go there. I couldn't. Parents couldn't take it. So I try to make them smile in the best way. That is like being the character that they absolutely love. So
I mean, it's a good story. It's yeah. I heard a few stories, especially like with like mainly the princesses of like people doing like princess cosplays. A lot of like little kids or like little girls will like come up, be like, "Oh my god, it's like Princess like I don't know Peach or something," or like a
yeah.
lot of like little kids are like very much interested in like the princesses and like hugging or like saying hi. Oh, what has been the toughest challenge you have faced with cosplaying? Is like so challenges can either be trying to make a cosplay that you never done before, or it could be simple as like walking the con floor in your cosplay. What has been so far the biggest challenges that you have faced with cosplaying or being a cosplayer?
So there's a couple. Since I got 2 car accidents back to back, 8 months apart. Being able to walk the con floor and be in a cosplay for a long time is definitely a challenge now where it wasn't before. I didn't realize how much of a challenge it would be. And also that goes into like making my cosplays. So if I sit for too long, stand for too long, it causes problems. But also making as well. One of my goals as a cosplayer who makes their own cosplays is when I make one, how can I improve the next one? So, what is another skill set that I can do? It can be hard. I mean, my hardest thing I've ever made was a hoop skirt completely from scratch. The boning, the metal boning, getting the dimensions right, getting the channels right. But every time I make a costume that like I compete in, I always try to do something that elevates it that much more than the last costume. So like even with the one piece that I'm making now, I'm not really competing it. So I'm not really worried about trying to impress people. And I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges is impressing people, especially if it's going to be judged. So you want to make sure everything's perfect.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the biggest challenges that I face.
I mean, those are all fair things. I know definitely like walking eating like as like a cosplay photographer, me walking around, I'm looking for, cosplayers like I seem like interested or at least know the characters. My favorite characters. I like always try to do like photos of them, but like I need to like somehow do like a Fitbit like on my hand to see like really how far I'm walking the con because I feel like I'm like walking like maybe like 5 miles like every day for these cons, and walking and then eating like minimum food or something like that. It's like and always like these I see sometimes these memes with the cons. It's like cosplayers running on like 18 hours of energy, like 5 hour, like two five
I've
hour
never
energy shots, and like minimum food, and they're like breakdancing like on the like a rave floor or something like that. But yeah,
Yep.
cosplayers are like built different. I think we're all built different with these,
Even
especially when
photo
it's con days.
Oh my gosh. Even you as a photographer, I'm carrying around all that equipment all day. I'm like, I could never. I have a problem carrying my own cosplays that are lightweight, and I could not imagine carrying around a camera all day. Like I'd be like, and you got different lenses, you got this. Some photographers have lights, and I'm like,
Yeah.
y'all gotta carry that to different locations around the con floor. I applaud you guys. Ugh,
I try my best not to bring my lights, at least during the day, knowing that if it's sunny out, I won't really need my lights. But if it's like closer to evening or nighttime, if I ever have the opportunity of doing like a nighttime shoot, which I almost did, but it never happened. But yeah, bringing down the lights in your backpack, and you're carrying on all day. Like definitely after cons, my back is completely sweaty. I just want to go home and shower. And we're walking around, especially Tampa Bay during the downtown area. We're walking to the trolley area that's right across. We're going to the bridge, taking photos. We're like, you can go wherever because I rather do like on spot locations, get like cool backgrounds, than kind of shoot inside. But yeah, shooting
yeah.
inside is different. You definitely need at least lights, or got to bump up your ISO. All right. But thank you so much, Ali, for this interview and talking about cosplay, some anime, and getting a little bit more about you. So thank you so much.
I appreciate you for inviting me.
Yeah, no problem.